What is clear is that China is the key enabler of Russia's war. Without Chinese support, Russia wouldn't be able to wage the war in the amount that they are waging this. So we see that 80% of the dual-use goods are actually entering Russia via China. We also see the North Korean troops present in Ukraine and the military equipment coming from North Korea to Ukraine, to Russia, and to fight the war against Ukraine. So it's clearly that if China would want to really stop the support, then it would have an impact.
This is my video update on this Thursday afternoon, April the 10th, coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And we are going to start things off with the cancellation of Liberation Day. Liberation Day is canceled, everybody. President Trump, he walked back the tariffs, the reciprocal tariffs, the blanket 10% tariffs. They are going to stay, but in a Truth Social post. And then he gave statements afterwards to the media, but he started it out with a Truth Social post where he said that there will be a pause in the reciprocal tariffs for 90 days. A 90-day pause is what Trump announced. At least it's a 90-day pause for the countries that did not retaliate. The countries that retaliated, or the country that retaliated, according to the Trump White House and Trump officials, will have the reciprocal tariffs. They will stick. They will remain, according to the statement from Trump. The country that will have those tariffs, where the tariffs will remain, is China. Every other country, and the European Union, from what I understand, will have the reciprocal tariffs removed. The 10% will stay. Everything else will go. And China, because, according to Trump, showed a lack of respect. Based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, I am hereby raising the tariff charge to China by the United States of America to 125%, effective immediately. At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable. And then Trump went on to announce the 90-day pause for every other country. China will have those tariffs remain. Even though I believe Canada did retaliate. Did Canada not retaliate? And the European Union also retaliated. Technically speaking, the EU, yesterday, they approved their tariff retaliation. The entire EU, all the member states, the European Commission, they announced that they had agreed on a tariff retaliation, and on April 15th, that retaliation was going to go into force. So they approved it yesterday. Technically speaking, they approved the retaliation, but it wasn't going to go into force until April 15th. So did the EU retaliate? According to Trump, from what I understand, he's not going to consider that a retaliation. A lack of respect. A lack of respect is what he's saying. China showed a lack of respect, not only to the United States, but to the world markets. So it's just China. It's the U.S. going after China, tariffing China with the reciprocal tariffs. That's what this is all about now. Oh man! But before he put that Truth Social post, before that that announcement of the 90-day pause was posted, Trump posted this on Truth Social. This is a great time to buy. Donald J. Trump, hinting at what was about to happen, because the markets went crazy. The markets went absolutely crazy when the announcement of the pause. With the announcement of the pause, the markets went absolutely berserko. I think the biggest gains in the stock market since I've read since World War II or something, just ridiculous gains. So Trump hinted at what was about to come. It's a game. It's chaos. It's chaos, and it's a game, and it's a pump and dump. That's what it feels like. Not really a pump and dump. I guess it's the Trump administration. They're sinking the global markets. They sink the global markets. Then they pump up the global markets. So it's a sink and pump, right? Global markets were down for a whole week. Everything was looking really bad. Everyone was, those invested in the stock market, they were losing money. 401ks were losing money across the entire world. So he was sinking everything, and then he walks everything back, and it all just pumps. Chaos, my friends, chaos. Chaos theory. It was all a ruse. It was all a ruse to figure out which countries would retaliate, which countries were against the United States. That's what this was all about. And they figured out it was China. China was against us because they're the ones that retaliated. It was all a game. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about any of this, man. So China retaliated yesterday with 84% tariffs. Then Trump retaliated back with 124% tariffs. And then we got the walk back. China was not backing down to any of this stuff. Nor was the European Union. The European Union did not back down either, because they approved their tariff package. But China's the scapegoat. That's what the Trump administration is trying to say here. This is the narrative that they're trying to spin. China is the scapegoat. That's what this was all about. Isolating China. What else did Trump say? So he had his press conference outside of the White House, and reporters asked him about the tariff pause, and Trump said that he paused the tariffs. And this is interesting because Trump actually admitted as to why he paused the tariffs, outside of the whole China's to blame thing, which is what a lot of the White House officials were going with. This was all a game to root out China's bad behavior. Trump admitted the truth to the media. He admitted the truth as to what was really going on. So reporters asked him, why did you walk back the Liberation Day tariffs? And Trump said that people were getting spooked. They were getting yippy. That's the word that he used. Yippy. At first I thought he said zippy. They were getting zippy. No, they were getting yippy is what Trump said. Donald Trump explains his 90-day tariff pause. People were getting yippy. What did Trump say here? I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy. You know, they were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid. So one of the reasons that the Liberation Day was canceled, was walked back, is because people were getting yippy. People were getting freaked out. The markets were tanking. Which leads me to believe that the Washington Post reporting that I talked about yesterday in my video update was accurate, where they claimed that Elon Musk was telling Trump to walk this thing back. And I imagine it wasn't only Elon Musk. I imagine it was a lot of the other big tech oligarchs. I imagine a lot of Wall Street oligarchs, Jamie Dimon and these types. And they were pressuring Trump to walk it back. And that's what he did. So that's reason number one for why there was a walk back of the tariff policy. Reason number two confirms the bond yield theory, because another reporter asked Trump, did the bond market persuade you to reverse? Trump said, I was watching the bond market. It's very tricky. If you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. Yippy and queasy. Yippy. Yippy's from Die Hard, isn't it? Yippee, yippee-ki-yay. That's Die Hard, right? So reason number one, people were getting yippy. Reason number two, people were getting queasy. The bond market was making queasy queasy. So the theory about the bond yields, that Trump was trying to get those numbers to go down. They were not going down. They did not go down. They started to rise, which meant that there was going to be no cheaper refinancing of about $7 trillion in debt. None of that was going to happen on 10-year notes, and they were going up. And so the entire plan went kaboom. The entire tariff policy Liberation Day bond yield plan, not a theory anymore, not speculation, confirmed in Trump's response to the media. That thing blew apart as well. So that's Liberation Day, everybody. And Trump, as he was speaking to the press, he hinted at how he does want to have a deal with China. He wants to speak with Xi Jinping, but he wants Xi Jinping to call him. Trump said that Xi is a smart guy, and he praised Xi Jinping. He predicted that there's going to be a very good deal with China and the United States, but he's waiting for China to make the first move. Not going to happen. What Trump needs to do now is he needs to either call up Xi Jinping directly, or he needs a third party to mediate or something like that. Call up Putin. Call up Putin and ask Putin if he can talk to Xi Jinping and get some sort of a deal worked out between China and the United States, some sort of a trade deal. Where Trump can save face, provide Trump a bit of an off-ramp, because this thing was a chaotic freaking mess. It turned out to be a chaotic mess. Trump, he's not doing well. He is not doing well. He knows where he wants to go. This is my sense of the Trump administration, especially when it comes to foreign policy and to stuff like these tariffs. He has an idea what he wants, but he has no strategy how to get there. And his team is doing him no favors. The advisors that he has are not helping him out at all. The way he handled the tariffs is exactly the same way that he's been handling the Ukraine negotiations, the ceasefire and all of that stuff. The same way he's been handling the whole TikTok thing. The same way he's handling Iran. There's no understanding of the strategy. I want Iran to not get nuclear weapons. Okay, you had the JCPOA, you pulled out of it in your first term, fine. Let's forget about that. Let's not talk about that. Now you're saying you want Iran to not get nuclear weapons. They can't get nuclear weapons. If they get nuclear weapons, if we can't work out a deal, if we can't negotiate a deal, and I feel as if they're going to get nuclear weapons, then we're going to have war. So that's Trump's position. He understands what he wants, right? He's saying, I don't want Iran to get nuclear weapons. How are we going to do this? Well, at first we're going to bomb Yemen. Okay, why? What's the angle? What are you going for? You're trying to scare Iran. You're trying to scare Yemen so they can talk to Iran. I mean, what's the goal? You're trying to protect the shipping lanes. What is the strategy? So now he has the negotiations. They're going to happen over the weekend. He says direct talks. Iran says indirect talks. There's going to be a mediator there, whatever. So negotiate with Iran. Speak with them. Iran said they don't want nuclear weapons. You're saying you don't want Iran to get nuclear weapons. Close the deal out, man. This should be a slam dunk this weekend. Should be very easy. Both sides are saying they don't want nukes. Both sides. Iran is saying they don't want nukes. The U.S. is saying they don't want Iran to get nukes. So this weekend, settle this. Let's avoid a war, and we can move on. But this whole thing is the way he got to these negotiations was chaotic, and we're still not there yet. We still haven't gotten a deal. This could very well fall through, and we may get a war, according to what Trump is saying. The same thing with TikTok. I talked about this in a video I made a couple of days ago. 75 days, we're going to solve it. We're going to get investors. Didn't happen. So let's roll it over to another 75 days. But we're so close. We're going to get investors. We're so close. TikTok cannot be Chinese owned. It can't be Chinese owned. We're going to get U.S. investors. We're going to make it TikTok America. Didn't happen in 75 days. Let's give it another 75 days. Russia, the same exact thing. We're close to a ceasefire. Okay, we got an energy ceasefire, right? Ukraine broke the energy ceasefire on day one. But we're not going to get mad at Ukraine. We're going to get mad at Russia. So we get a Black Sea ceasefire. Okay, Black Sea ceasefire. Europe says, no, we're not going to go along with it. We're not going to honor this ceasefire. Trump's not mad at Europe. He's not mad at Ukraine. No, it's Russia's fault. It's Putin's fault. So Russia's saying, whatever, man, we're going to continue. We're going to continue to do what we need to do to wrap up this conflict. And you guys just talk about your ceasefire, U.S. and Russia. What we can do is we can normalize relations outside of Ukraine. And that's what's going to happen this weekend as well as in Istanbul. The U.S. State Department and Russia, the Russian Foreign Ministry, they said what they're going to talk about in Istanbul this Saturday is they're going to talk nothing about Ukraine. They're going to talk about embassy stuff and diplomatic relations and things like that. Ukraine is not on the table this weekend. Even though Trump has Russia's terms. The whole world has Putin's terms. He spelled them out 1 million times on June 2024, and 1,000 times after that, Putin has spelled out his terms for there to be peace. Very reasonable terms, which the U.S. should jump at. Jump at those terms, man. Take those terms. Nah, we're going to go with Waltz and Kellogg, and we're going to talk about energy ceasefire and Black Sea ceasefire, and eventually we're going to get to an unconditional ceasefire. It's a 3-phase process, says Rubio. It's a 3-phase process. First we get the energy, then we get the Black Sea, then we get the total unconditional ceasefire. The way he handled this whole tariff thing is the exact way that he's been handling all of these things. He understands I want good relations with Russia. I want good relations with Russia, he says. But he has no strategy. His team, Trump, his team, they have no strategy how to get there. And instead of Trump taking the good advice, which is walk away from Ukraine or take Putin's deal, he goes with the bad advice, which is Kellogg and Waltz and ceasefire. So anyway, all right. That's that. The entire tariff thing, 90-day pause. The whole world is looking on, scratching their heads. Everyone's just, what was that? What were the last 2 weeks about? What's going on here? Eventually, he'll work out a deal with China. That would be my guess. Eventually, he'll talk to Xi Jinping, or someone will talk to Xi Jinping on his behalf, and eventually we'll get some sort of a deal in the next couple of weeks or couple of months, and that'll be that. And we'll enter a phase where the U.S. and China have a slow type of divorce, let's say. That's probably what's going to happen. But the rest of the world is looking at this, and they're saying this is not stability. We don't know what Trump is going to do the next day, tomorrow, how he's going to wake up and what decisions he's going to make. There's no stability in this. And if you're a business, or if you're investing in the United States, or doing business with the United States, or entering into agreement with the Trump administration, you don't know if any of the stuff can be honored, or if Trump changes his mind and throws everything out the window or turns everything upside down. The silver lining to all of this, to this entire thing, I'll tell you what the silver lining is to this big time screw up. The silver lining is that at least he ended globalization. That's the one good thing. Globalization is done. We're moving into spheres of influence. We're moving into, I believe, an Italian official said we're moving into the era of great powers. I believe it was an Italian official who said that. I'll try to find the quote and put it up on the screen. So the era of globalization is over, and we're moving into a great power type of world order. That's the silver lining, if you have to find one to all of this. Besant, the Treasury Secretary, he sent a warning to Spain because the Spanish, I believe the Spanish leader, said that Spain's going to continue to trade with China, and Besant didn't like that. Because the way Trump's team is framing this is, you're either with us or you're with China. That's what this whole thing was about. That's what Besant said. That's what Caroline Levitt, that's what she said in a statement. The goal of this entire Liberation Day process was to weed out who's with the United States and who's against the United States, and who's with China. Who's with the United States and who's with China. And Spain was having none of it. Spain said, look, we're not going to play this game. We want to trade with China. We're all good with China. We want to continue trade with China. And then Besant sent out a warning, not only to Spain, but to Europe. He said if Europe decides to continue relations with China and do business with China, something like that, then he said that Europe's going to cut its throat or whatever with the United States. Some warning along those lines from Besant. It's like this whole thing feels like it was Trading Places. Remember that movie? That's what it feels like. This was all just a game. Are you with us or are you against us? We're gonna ruin lives. We're gonna ruin lives to see who's with China and who's with the United States. So Trading Places. Randolph and Mortimer Duke, they bet $1 to ruin the lives of Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. Billy Ray and Lewis. They ruined the lives of Billy Ray and Lewis for $1. It was a $1 bet. Mortimer and Randolph Duke. Yep, we're going to tank the markets. We're going to talk about Liberation Day and tariffs to find out if you're with China or if you're with the United States. Oh, man. If you don't laugh, you cry. If you don't laugh, you cry. So that's why I'm laughing. Otherwise, I'd be crying at all of this. Trump needs to fix things, man. He needs to get his act together. His team, I don't know. Get rid of Waltz, get rid of Kellogg. I don't know what you need to do. But he needs to fix things quick. So even Ursula was claiming victory when the announcement of the tariff pause was posted on Truth. Von der Leyen welcomes Trump's tariff U-turn. Even Ursula claimed victory. That's when you know things are bad, when Ursula claims victory. I welcome President Trump's announcement to pause reciprocal tariffs. It's an important step towards stabilizing the global economy, von der Leyen said. The European Union remains committed to constructive negotiations with the United States with the goal of achieving frictionless and mutually beneficial trade, she added. Let's talk about Project Ukraine. Let's shift gears and talk about Project Ukraine. Let's talk about China and Project Ukraine, because Elensky, he issued a statement yesterday saying that it's not just 2 Chinese soldiers that have been caught. Well, he's caught 2 Chinese soldiers, according to Elensky. But he is claiming that Ukraine is aware of 150 Chinese soldiers in the conflict, fighting on the side of Russia. 150, he says, and maybe even more, Elensky said. There may be even more than 150. And he claims that the Ukraine military, they know who these people are. He says they have their passports, their documents, maybe even their bank cards. They haven't captured these 150 people. They captured 2. But they know who these 150 people are, according to Elensky. He has all their documentation. How he got that documentation? Don't know. Don't care. Don't know. Don't care. I don't know. He just has it, okay? He just has it. The other 2 guys that he caught, he has their bank cards, man. He has their bank cards. The comments yesterday from the video where I was talking about this, man, some of the comments were so funny on the fact that Elensky has the bank cards of these Chinese soldiers. He claims he has the bank cards of these Chinese soldiers. The comments about Elensky trying to get their PIN so he can take out money. Very good. I was laughing hard when I was reading those comments, man. I could totally see that. Is this Mir card that you have? Okay, what is PIN? I'm not going to give you my PIN code. Give me PIN code. I want to get money. You know, the funny thing is, I don't even think China uses cards, do they? I don't know. Someone who knows how it works in China, let me know in the comments down below. Let everybody know in the comments down below. Do they carry actual cards anymore? Or do they just have their Alipay or whatever it is on their mobile device? I don't think they actually have physical cards anymore. I don't know. Just a guess. Just a guess. So Elensky is claiming 150 plus Chinese nationals. I believe he uses the words nationals and not soldiers when he talks about the Chinese fighting in Ukraine. By the way, Beijing, they rejected Elensky's claims of soldiers. Beijing is saying, nope, we don't have any national soldiers, anything like that. You could have. Actually, you probably do have. Volunteers, mercenaries, call them whatever you want. You have from all kinds of countries. So why would you not have from China, fighting on both sides? China, Colombia. Of course, you have American, Polish, British, French. There's all kinds of nationalities, countries who have volunteers or mercenaries fighting in this conflict. So I would not be surprised if you have Chinese. But China's saying they're not military, and we tell Chinese citizens, don't go to Ukraine and fight. So China has rejected this entire thing. Elensky has burned the bridge with China. What will China do in response? Nothing. They're not going to do anything in retaliation to Ukraine. Kallas, stunning and brave, Kallas. She issued a statement. The foreign minister of the European Union, everybody, the freaking foreign minister, the chief diplomat of the European Union, issued a statement blaming China, pretty much blaming China for the conflict in Ukraine, or for Russia's winning the conflict in Ukraine. She blames it all on China. If it wasn't for Chinese support and dual used goods, if it wasn't for those dual used goods, those washing machine chips, then Russia would not be winning, according to Kallas. It was those washing machine chips. That's what she said. So she is blaming China. And as she's blaming China, she is trying to rally the collective West, the United States, to continue to support Project Ukraine and to get more involved in the conflict in Ukraine. That's Kallas's angle in all of this. That's Elensky's angle in all of this as well. But that was the statement that she issued. So the EU is slamming China now. They're blaming China. They're slamming China. They're saying it's all your fault, China, that Russia's winning. It's all your fault that we're in this mess in Ukraine. If you didn't provide those dual-used goods, then Russia would never win. So yeah, China is getting the blame from from everybody, from all sides, from all angles. Is China going to do anything in retaliation to what Kallas said, what stunning and brave Kallas said? Nah. Now, even though China should teach the EU a little lesson here. Don't try to pin the blame on us. Or actually, what China should do, here's what China should do. If I was running things in China, what they should do is they should say, oh, okay, so you're blaming us for the conflict, huh? Well, since you're blaming us, since we're going to get the blame either way, we might as well just start producing 10 million drones to give to Russia, right? We're going to get the blame anyway. We might as well start providing 10 million washing machine chips every week. You're blaming us no matter what, even though China has taken a very middle-of-the-road position. They've taken a very neutral position when it comes to Ukraine. Actually, the first year or two, China was providing drone parts to the Elensky regime. They were providing drones to the Elensky regime. Russia played it cool. Russia said, okay, look, we don't want to involve you in this conflict. If you want to still trade with Ukraine, if you want to provide them with drones and other stuff, we're not going to demand things from you, make demands from you. Anyway, that's stunning and brave, Kallas. By the way, she also said that the EU is going to give another 2.1 billion to the Green Goblin in Russian frozen assets. Those Russian frozen assets. Interest. She's going to take 2.1 billion in interest from the Russian frozen assets and hand it over to the Green Goblin. Man, the interest from the Russian frozen assets must be huge. I mean, every month there's a couple of billion in interest that's getting sent to the Elensky regime. How much interest is the Russian frozen assets generating? Because last I read, the Russian frozen assets generate 1.5 billion in interest a year. That's what they generate. 1.5 billion a year. And every month we're getting 2 billion in interest sent to the Elensky regime. Annalena Baerbock math, something is not adding up. All right, one more story. Two more stories, and we'll get to a kind of clown world. And we're going to stick with Elensky, because Elensky is saying, and this is breaking news, he is announcing that Ukraine wants to buy a weapons package from the US for $50 billion, fueled with EU money. Fueled with EU money. And Elensky is saying that he wants to buy weapons that only the US produces, Patriot systems and fighter jets. It would be the largest weapons sale the USA has ever made, surpassing the $23 billion sale of 105 F-35s to Japan in 2020. There you have it, Elensky's plan. He's making a list, according to Politico. Elensky is making a list of all the things that he needs, and he's making a list in coordination with France and the UK, the coalition of the willing, the coalition of the losers. He's coordinating with France and the UK, and they're making a list of what they need in order to get the peacekeepers in place and to protect Ukraine going forward. That's what Politico is writing. That's what they're reporting. And he needs troops. He needs air patrols, and he needs sea patrol. And he needs a lot of Patriots and weapons, which only the U.S. makes. And so what's the plan? Elensky is saying that what he will do is he will take 50 billion euros of EU money and use it to purchase U.S. weapons. Sounds like sounds like a good plan, Elensky. 50 billion in EU money. Where are you going to get that 50 billion? The EU is going to give you 50 billion? Maybe. Maybe they will. I don't think they will. I don't think they have that kind of money. But to give just like that, that's what he's saying. 50 billion from the European Union to buy weapons for Ukraine. A good use of EU funds, huh? A good use of European Union funds, which, you know, the EU, if they were to give Ukraine any money, it would be given as a loan, right? So I imagine the EU is going to loan Ukraine 50 billion, and Ukraine's going to use that loaned EU 50 billion to buy weapons from the United States. So they can keep the conflict going, because in a couple of months, the drawdown, Biden's drawdown, ends. You know, the whole 60 billion package, that's coming to an end in a couple of months. And even Syrskyi gave an interview, a huge interview, yesterday, and he said that weapons are running out from the United States. He said that weapons are running out, and once they run out, we're screwed. That's what Syrskyi said. And Syrskyi said that Ukraine needs 30,000 new soldiers, 30,000 recruits every month to keep up, because they're losing a lot of men. He didn't say they're losing a lot of men, but that's what he was implying. He said we need 30,000 new recruits every month, at least, at a minimum. So that's Elensky's plan. And there was a big prisoner swap. How am I doing on time? Yeah, I got to wrap this up. There was a big prisoner exchange between the United States and Russia. CIA Director John Ratcliffe said a prisoner exchange with Russia took place in Abu Dhabi. Russian and U.S. citizen Ksenia Karelina was sentenced to 12 years in prison in Russia for treason. According to the investigation, she sent money to the armed forces of Ukraine. And Russian Artur Petrov was accused of smuggling and evading sanctions. He was detained by Cyprus at Washington's request in August 2023. I remember both cases. I remember both of these cases. And so they've been exchanged. And I believe they're both dual citizens. I believe the Russian guy is Russian-American that's going to Russia, and Ksenia is Russian-American, but she's going to go to the U.S. So that happened. Today, I think that went down, or that was announced that this was finalized today, this exchange. And finally, Tucker, he had Alex Jones on his podcast, and Tucker Carlson admitted that the U.S. lost the war to Russia in Ukraine. That is what he told Alex Jones. Tucker said, "We just lost a war with Russia." The former Fox News host declared the U.S. was running that war, the U.S. military, the Pentagon, State Department, CIA, running the war against Russia. It was never about Ukraine. Carlson expressed concern that nobody will say that out loud, that we're overstating our power. He likened the U.S. to a divorced 60-year-old man attempting to woo a 25-year-old woman, oblivious to how absurd and humiliating he appears. That's what Tucker Carlson said to Alex Jones. And Tucker is referencing that New York Times article, which reveals the U.S. command center in Germany, showing that the United States was indeed running the entire war against Russia. The Ukraine soldiers were just that. They were just the foot soldiers that the U.S. was using. Everything else was under the U.S.'s control. That's what Tucker is referencing. He's talking about this New York Times article, and he is saying that Ukraine did not lose the war to Russia. The United States lost the war to Russia, and it's time that the United States admit this, and it's time for the United States to get out of this. Get out of this. Take June 2024 root causes deal. Take that deal. Walk away from this and start focusing on your U.S. America First agenda, Trump. My God, it's not hard. It's not hard. Anyway, is there a clown world? Kind of a clown world. Kind of. Kiev seeking arrest of man aboard space station. Russian cosmonaut Alexei Zubritsky is listed in the Ukrainian Defense Ministry's database of draft dodgers and is wanted for treason. Yeah, so this guy is wanted for treason now. Russian cosmonaut. I believe he's on his way to the space station, or he's there. He's on his way to space, or he's about to go to space. I don't know what's going on there. But from what I understand, he was born in, or he's from, or lived in Zaporozhye, then he lived in Crimea. And now he was in the Russian military, became a cosmonaut, and Ukraine is unhappy with him, and so they tried him and in absentia, and they want to arrest him for treason. That's kind of a clown world, everybody. I think this whole video was a clown world in a way. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what I'm wearing today in this video update. Take care.